Hey, this is George from BobPrepper.com. Today we're going to put together a couple of 5-gallon food storage buckets filled with all the ingredients to make this delicious rice and lentil dish. Hope you enjoy it. Let's assemble our materials. You're going to need 2 5-gallon buckets with lids, an impact sealer or a clothes iron, a kitchen scale and some scoops, 300 cc oxygen absorbers, Mylar bags, I'm using resealable 1.5 quart size, labels, salt, bouillon, I'm using both chicken and beef, 2 pounds of dehydrated vegetable mix, and 20 pounds of long grain rice, and 20 pounds of lentils. I'm using lentils because not only do they taste great, they don't require any soaking time and they cook up in about 20 or 30 minutes. I'm repacking the 20 pounds of lentils into 10 1.5 quart size resealable Mylar bags. I'm placing the labels onto the bags prior to putting any food into the bags. You could use a Sharpie instead of the labels. I kind of like the labels myself, but a Sharpie works just as well. On each label, I put the name of the product as well as the quantity, basic cooking instructions, and the date that I repackaged the product. These lentils conveniently come in 1-pound packages, and I'm packing 2 pounds for every 1.5 quart size Mylar bag, so I'm going to use 2 packages per bag. You don't necessarily have to remove the lentils from the 1-pound packages. You could just put 2 of those packages into each of the Mylar bags. I prefer to remove the lentils or any food that I'm repackaging from the original packaging, just so I don't have that excess plastic in there. But if you do decide to repackage in the original packages, make sure you cut a small slit into each of these bags so that the oxygen absorbers could do their job. You might be wondering why I don't just dump all of the lentils into one giant Mylar bag and seal it up. Well, for me, it's a matter of convenience. This way I could just grab one of these 1.5 quart size bags of lentils, use what I need, reseal it, and use the rest of it whenever I'm ready for it, and the product stays fresh. And if I dumped everything into a 5-gallon Mylar bag and that bag happened to fail, I'm losing all of my lentils. This way, if one of these items should happen to fail, I'm only losing 2 pounds. You don't necessarily have to use the same size bags that I'm using. You could use a much larger bag or a smaller bag if you wish, and you certainly don't have to use the bags that are resealable. I find them convenient, and I got them at a cost that wasn't too much greater than the bags that are non-sealable. All right, now we're ready to place oxygen absorbers into each one of these bags and seal them up. I'm using 300 cc oxygen absorbers for the 1.5 quart size bags. That's more than adequate for that size bag. If you're going to store in a larger Mylar bag, check out some of the resources on the internet that will tell you the size that you should use. The air we breathe is about 20% oxygen, and these oxygen absorbers will remove that oxygen from within these bags. The absence of oxygen means that the food's going to last a lot longer. It's not going to be susceptible to insects or mold or other things that could shorten the lifespan of the food. These oxygen absorbers work immediately when you remove them from the original packaging, so you're going to want to work very quickly to put 1 oxygen absorber into each one of the resealable Mylar bags. Any unused oxygen absorbers I'm going to place into a mason jar and seal them up tight with the lid. So at this point, I'm going to very carefully squeeze out as much air as possible from the bag while sealing the Ziploc top on each one of the bags. It's really unnecessary to vacuum seal these bags. With the oxygen absorber in place, it's going to reduce the volume of what's left in the bag by 20%. So in effect, it's going to have kind of the same effect that you would have if you were using a vacuum sealer. Now, the Ziplocs alone are not enough for long-term storage. They're great and convenient and holds everything in place while you are heat sealing the bags. You can use a regular clothes iron. I'm actually using the Vitrust Impulse Sealer. This is a 12-inch model. It stays cool to the touch unless you're using it, and in just a second you get a burst of heat that seals the bag. I am a little cautious, and I like to do multiple seals. So I usually seal 4 times across the top of the bag at different levels, being sure that I don't seal off the part with a perforated tearing edge so I can reuse the Ziploc portion of the bag. All right, now that the lentils are all packed up, we can move on to the rice. Rice is pretty easy to cook. You just use 2 parts water to 1 part rice, bring it to a boil, then cover and simmer for 20 minutes, and you have a nice pot of rice. So I'm packing 20 pounds of rice in 2-pound packages, so I'm going to go ahead and apply my labels to 10 Mylar bags. So if you're working with a 20-pound bag of rice like I am, it's going to be a lot easier if you take it and stick it into a 5-gallon bucket so it's standing upright, and you can just leave the bag open and work from it. It makes it a lot more convenient. So I'm going to go ahead and zero out my scale, and I'm going to begin measuring 32 ounces of rice into the measuring cup. You're going to find that 2 pounds of rice, or 32 ounces, is going to be about a little bit more than 2 cups of rice. All right, there we go. That's 2 pounds. I'm going to go ahead and dump this into the first bag. You're going to want to make sure the top of the bag is propped up so the rice doesn't spill out while you begin loading the subsequent bags of rice. Rice is high in carbohydrates, and carbohydrates provides the body energy. Rice is a pretty versatile food. You could use it in just about any style of cooking. No matter where you go in the world, just about any cuisine, there's going to be rice. Rice actually accounts for about 1/5 of all calories consumed by human beings worldwide. All right, we're going to go ahead and place the oxygen absorbers into the bags and squeeze out any excess air. All right, now we're going to go ahead and seal up the tops of all these bags with the impulse sealer. We're going to be careful to stay above the perforated line so that I could use the resealable portion of the bag again and again. All right, with the rice all packed up, we can move on to the dehydrated vegetables. So So I'm using the Delish brand of dehydrated vegetable mix. I'm using the 2-pound package, and I'm going to split that up into 4 half-pound packages. So I went ahead and labeled my Mylar bags, the 4 of them, and I'm going to go ahead and split this bag of vegetables between the 4 Mylar bags. Professionally dehydrated vegetables like the ones we're using here can last up to twice as long as those vegetables that are dehydrated in a home dehydrator. Storing the vegetables in an oxygen-free environment will extend its life even longer. Rehydrating these vegetables increases their volume by up to 5%. So a little bit goes a long way, and it adds a really good punch of flavor to whatever you use them in. Okay, we're going to add oxygen absorbers to each one of these packages. And then we're going to go ahead and seal them up, being careful to squeeze out as much air as possible. All right, that wraps up the vegetables. Now it's on to the bouillon cubes. So bouillon cubes are nothing more than dehydrated beef stock, or chicken stock in this case. We're using both chicken and beef bouillon cubes. Adding 1 bouillon cube to a cup of water gives you 1 cup of stock. So I'm dumping 75 bouillon cubes into each of the Mylar bags. That's 3 jars, 25 each. I'm being careful not to mix the chicken and beef. I want to keep those flavors separate. In the absence of oxygen, bouillon has a very long shelf life, but with any food that you're storing for a long period of time, use your judgment. If it's in question, don't use it. And I'm going to go ahead and add the oxygen absorbers and seal these up just like I did with the other ingredients. I'm going to add a container of salt to each one of my 5-gallon buckets. I'm going to go ahead and repackage the salt in a Mylar bag just so that it stays dry over a period of time. Now you don't need an oxygen absorber with salt. Salt's a mineral. It will never ever go bad. It will keep indefinitely. Now with everything packaged in Mylar bags, I can begin packing my 5-gallon buckets. I'm being sure to use a food grade 5-gallon bucket, and I'm alternating the rice and the lentils, 5 of each, in each one of the buckets. You'll notice that I'm really pressing down each one of the Mylar bags that I'm putting in here, trying to take up as much space as possible in the bottom of the bucket. I'm going to add the salt, the dehydrated vegetables, and the bouillon cubes to the top of the bucket. That way I don't have to dig for it later when I am looking for it. Since I'm going to be using these ingredients pretty often, I'm just going to seal it with a regular lid. This is going to keep it nice and secure. If you're going to store it for a longer period of time, I would suggest that you use a gamma lid. Just like the Mylar bags inside of the bucket, I'm going to label the outside of the bucket as well. It's going to have a list of all the ingredients as well as a recipe for the lentil and rice meal. If properly stored, the ingredients in this bucket will last 15 years or more. But again, use your own judgment, and if something seems a little off, don't use it. So to make the recipe, all you need to do is take a cup of rice, a cup of lentils, 4 bouillon cubes, either the chicken or the beef, a quarter cup of the vegetable mix, and 4 cups of water. So in a medium-sized saucepan, add the water and all the rest of the ingredients. Now if you like your lentils a little softer, go ahead and add those 5 minutes before you add any of the other ingredients, but increase your water by half a cup. So go ahead and cook this on high heat, uncovered, until it comes to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, go ahead and reduce the heat to simmer. Cover the pot and cook it for 20 minutes, stirring occasionally. So here you have it. You have 2 very large servings. Each serving contains 657 calories, 11 grams of fat, 128 grams of carbohydrates, 21 grams of fiber, and a whopping 31 grams of protein. We hope you enjoyed this video. Please be sure to share it with your friends. Visit our website at bobprepper.com, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to us on YouTube.